They have no idea. All these people.
You know what's worse? When there's fire accident, people tend to go outside and look what's going on.
I don't think hiding in their homes would save them.
No, I know that, but...
It is beautiful.
It's ironic. Calling something that will have lasting consequences beautiful.
All the particles, can you see them?
I know, I see them. They're all like...
breathing them.
Watching a tragedy unfold is terrible. It's like when I watch Titanic, and I'm like, oh, do something else! Like, you want to reach in and change stuff. It's unbelievable how unprepared they were.
Unbelievable, but not unsurprising.
No, because men has always liked to work with stuff that's so fucking dangerous, and they don't take the time and measures to prepare themselves, because nothing can ever happen, you know? There's always accidents, but we never plan for them. We think we're better than this.
Bombs are gone. The electrical's gone. The core. I didn't go in there and I won't. I think it's time we
No, we have to get water into the core, otherwise there'll be a meltdown. We have to open the valves.
Sasha.
What do you want, Boris? If it's true that we're dead, 1 million people are dead, is that what you need to hear? We have to open the valves by hand.
By hand. And the number of valves, the amount of time to turn, you're talking about hours in there.
Then help us.
Hope you do what? Pump water into a ditch, there's nothing there. Leonard, I'm begging you.
They know what to expect, but it's still their job, you know, they still have to do it. I hate that the boss is just like denying that this might happen, and he's like ordering them all to go there. He's sending them to their deaths, you know? It's already bad that they're here, but going near the core?
What's the rest of it?
And these places are always run by a bunch of old people with a lot of money that don't understand how this works.
Apologise for the lateness of the hour.
No, because they just speak about money.
Very safe down here. First, the accident is well under control. Second, because the efforts
we
of
did
the
a good
Soviet
job.
nuclear industry are considered key state secrets, it is important that we ensure that this incident has no adverse consequences.
How dangerous is this? There's mild radiation, but it's limited to the plant itself. No, it isn't. Excuse me. You saw men outside vomiting. You saw men with burns. There's more radiation than they're saying.
Please, my wife is here. Do you think I would keep her in Pripyat if it wasn't safe?
Budanov, the air is glowing.
Completely normal phenomenon, can happen with minimal
Oh
radiation.
my goodness, you pieces of shit.
The state tells us the situation here is not dangerous. Have faith, comrades. The state tells us it wants to prevent a panic. Listen well. It's true. When the people see the police, they will be afraid. But it is my experience that when the people ask questions that are not in their own best interest, they should simply be told to keep their minds on their labour and leave matters of the state to the state. We seal off the city. No one leaves.
Oh my god.
And cut the phone lines. Contain the spread of misinformation. That is how we keep the people from undermining the fruits of their own labour.
That is
Yes, comrades.
you kill people.
We will all be rewarded for what we do here tonight.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
This is our moment to shine.
You're gonna shine.
Literally. To be fair, they've been told that the radiation level is not disturbing.
I sent my dosimetrist into the reactor building. The large dosimeter from the safe, the one with 1,000 Röntgen capacity.
What was the number?
There was none. The meter burned out the second it was turned on. We found another dosimeter from the military fire department. It only goes to 200 Röntgen, but it's better than the small ones.
And?
It maxed out. 200 Röntgen.
It's higher than this, guys.
Okay, we put it.
It's another faulty meter. You're wasting our time.
I checked the meter against the control.
What's wrong with you? How'd you get that number from feed water leaking from a blown tank?
You don't.
Then what the fuck are you talking about?
I walked around the exterior of Building 4. I think there's graphite on the ground, in the rubble.
You didn't see graphite.
Oh my god.
I did.
You didn't. You didn't! Because it's not there!
Fucking hell.
Are you suggesting the core, what, exploded?
Your core
Yes!
exploded, you dumbass!
You're a nuclear engineer, Selma. So please tell me how an RBMK reactor core explodes.
I can't.
Because you don't know everything.
I don't see how it could explode. But it did.
Enough. I'll go up to the vent block roof. From there you can look right down into reactor building 4. I'll see it with my own eyes.
You're already contaminated.
Yep.
I apologise.
Guys! Guys! Get into the medic or the hospital, whatever he needs.
Are you gonna start believing that something bad happened? It's frustrating because we know that it's not gonna change. We know where this is going, but it's so frustrating to see it happen. Which means that the show did a good job.
The feed water. Been around it all night.
Water.
Damn it. We always try to find a
Okay.
reason.
Go to the vent block roof and report back what you see.
No,
He told you!
no, I won't do that.
Of course you will.
You go! You fucking go!
They won't go. They're the big boss.
You'll be fine. Nothing happened. Go there and tell us what you see. I've told you what I've seen. You don't believe him. They don't want to acknowledge that something happened because if something happened, that means that one of them didn't do his job. Or a bunch of them didn't do their jobs. Accidents happen. They don't want to be held accountable. He's so fucking red. You didn't see it. You didn't see it. You're red because you're stressing out. Fucking hell. Can I punch them?
Both of them? So far, the show is good, guy, but I'm so angry right now.
It's doing its job for sure.
Oh, man.
Replace that. All these places. I haven't seen photos of Chernobyl for a while, but I'm sure you could recognize the places that are now, like, abandoned. It's starting. Unless it was the bird that we saw in the plant. Oh gosh, it went by so fast.
I really like that with the bird dying at the end. It's just like, you know that it's just the beginning. The tragedy is just beginning. It's not the end of it.
We see with that bird, like, I'm not gonna pretend that someone watching this show doesn't know what actually happened, like what the consequences of this tragedy were. But this is like foreshadowing, like it's telling us what we are in for. This guy that we saw at the end and we saw at the beginning, he wasn't near the plant. I don't know where he is right now, but he wasn't at the plant, and still we know he's coughing up blood 2 years after. He killed himself on the day, like 2 years and 1 minute after the explosion. He killed himself. He feels responsible. He was working for the place, like he was part of the, he's not on the board, but he was a person that was in control of stuff at the plant, and he feels responsible. Obviously, accidents don't happen without anyone creating the circumstances for the accident, you know?
True.
If they had not tried to play God with a substance that is so dangerous that we have absolutely no control over, if they had not thought that, hey, we can make no mistake, you know, there's no need to panic, there's no need to put measures, there's no need to put measures for in case something happens, because I feel like man always goes into these situations, like human beings go into these situations thinking that they can do nothing wrong, and then something like that happens. And I think the theme of this episode, at least to me, was, we didn't do nothing, it's not too bad, no, we're not responsible, it's not our fault. It's not our fault, but then whose fault is it? And it's interesting because I feel like we all know what happened after, but no one knows, and no one will ever know what actually happened before, which is why what the guy said at the beginning was really interesting. Like, oh, when there are so many lies, eventually all we can know is the story. We don't know the truth, and we never will know the truth, because people don't. Maybe they don't know how it happened. Maybe they don't want to acknowledge how it happened. Maybe the people that can tell are dead.
Maybe somebody did a mistake, or maybe just the core became unstable and it explode. I'm pretty sure that it can happen sometimes, but usually you're supposed to have measure to control it and sure that the people are going to be safe.
The impossible is only impossible till it becomes possible. It's almost
Sorry,
like,
what was that?
you know, okay, you know, there is something that someone, I saw it somewhere, I don't remember in what TV show, but there was a saying about magic. Oh, I think, or the paranormal activity. It was in Hunting of Hill House. He said that one of the main characters said, like, the paranormal is only science that we can't explain yet. You know, it's stuff that we don't understand. It's the same with radioactivity. It's the same with how they all the stuff they've been working with. Like, oh, it's impossible. It can't explode. It can explode. It's just that you didn't know about it. We don't know everything, but we tend to pretend that we're the masters of the universe and that there's nothing that can go past us. And that's how tragedies happen. Titanic was the same fucking thing. Oh, they think that they can build something that can defy nature and be stronger than anything else.
Unsinkable shit.
Exactly. And we think we're better than nature. We're better than the elements. We're better than everything else. Till something like that happens and reminds us that we're just guests on this planet. We're just, you know, we're pebbles in the universe. We're nothing compared to everything else. And when stuff like that happens, it usually means that we tried to play with something that was bigger than us. Sadly, because of our nature, because of how we handle stuff like that, a lot of people are going to die. A lot of people are going to suffer the consequences of a
True.
few men who didn't want to acknowledge that they did a mistake and they didn't prepare. You mentioned World War II, but I don't think radioactivity was such a big part of it. Was like fumes and stuff, but radioactivity wasn't really understood. Like, people didn't know.
It's true. People saw the devastating effect of the atomic bomb when they used it on Nagasaki and Hiroshima,
Yeah.
but didn't live with. They weren't there for the after effects of the radiation. That's true.
And even if they were there, like, it's not like they cared. Like, it was the enemy. Maybe they... Now we can tell. Like, I've studied what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki when I did my my certificate in Japanese and Chinese history and stuff. And I was talking about, you know, the effects and how people are living with that today. And maybe the people just didn't care because, first of all, it's quite recent. Well, 40 years. Maybe it wasn't happening to them, so they didn't care, maybe. I have no idea. But it felt, at least to me in this episode, like they didn't freak out enough. Maybe it was because they didn't know how bad this was going to be. And if they had been told, they would have known. Like, they would have been like, oh shit, radioactivity, that's dangerous. The core exploded, so it's the particles, they're all in the air. They thought the roof exploded. The roof was on fire. They had no idea. But the people working there, I'm like... Some of them showed fear and concern, and when they were told to go near the core to, you know, open the valves and stuff, they were hesitant, and I understand that, and they know how dangerous this can be. But the complete lack of panic, I liked it at the beginning. I was like, oh, in the face of you know, an accident and stuff like that, you stay calm.
Technically,
but then,
for that, you're right. If you start to panic during a tragedy or an accident, it's gonna get worse.
But his lack of panic was not.
This guy, he was just negligent.
Yeah, he was just denying. He was just denying the truth and sending people to their deaths. But I'm surprised with how little these people just understood how bad this could get. Now, and you mentioned like the bomb in Japan and stuff. It's true that maybe they weren't aware of all the consequences this had on the population. Maybe they didn't care. Maybe it wasn't as well known, like what happened after. Like, we all know about the bomb, but what happened after, maybe it wasn't taught in school. Maybe they had no idea. But if they had an idea, maybe it's just like the lack of information, no idea what went on in their heads at the moment. But it's bugging me. It's freaking me out. And now we come from a generation that learned about Chernobyl. We know about the accident, and we know about the lasting consequences. So we are aware of that.
What they're doing is stupid.
We are aware of the danger. So we can watch this and freak out over their lack of initiative, their lack of need to protect the people.
But it's true that if before that time there was no incident or accident regarding radioactivity, it wouldn't be surprising that people don't panic that much.
Or maybe it's something else. Maybe, you know, with the bomb, they knew that it was going to cause, you know, problems because it was the intent. You know, we send the bomb, it's going to explode, it's going to create damage. With this, they thought they were in control. Oh, we have control over this core. We are protected.
We control it. Yeah.
We know what we're doing. We're the professionals. Even if you're professional, you are not, you know, safe from doing mistakes. You are not safe from accidents. And I love that, you know, this show is only, I think this show is only going to show us the consequences, you know, what happens after. But since no one knows who did wrong, we're not seeing before the accident. And I love it because it just leaves us guessing, you know, and that's all they could do back then, like guessing what was going to happen, guessing who did what, who was responsible, because now they don't know what's going to happen, but I'm pretty sure that there's like, what, 5 episodes in this show?
5, yeah.
We're going to see what happens pretty fast, and when people start dropping and dying and just losing skins and stuff, they're going to try to find who did wrong, who did something wrong, and who to blame. It's also something that I found really interesting in the beginning of the episode when he was saying like, oh, we're well, not in these words, but we're basically looking for a scapegoat, because when something that bad happens, you can't just leave it in the open, even if it's like, oh, a lot of people did a lot of mistakes. It's an accident. The people that die, the people that suffer, they want someone to blame. They want someone to channel their anger towards, because otherwise they won't have anything.
Maybe I'm speculating, or maybe I'm kind of right, but I think that sometimes the core can just become unstable. Maybe it's just nobody's fault. But the thing is, even though if it's nobody's fault for the accident,
What happens
is the way that they react to it and what they did after that to try to control as much as possible the consequences that is bad.
Like, I'm
They're
appalled by
denying
how
it happened. They don't want to inform the population about it. They want to protect their asses and said, we're not
It's
accountable for what happened.
it's something that happens every time there's such a huge thing, you know, a tragedy like this. The people in charge, the people that are nowhere near the central, you know, of the thing, like, they're not working there. They don't know how this works as much as the engineers and the employees and stuff, but they like to pretend that they do. And when something like that happens, they don't want any of the blame. They don't want to risk their reputations. They don't want to be seen as, oh, like, we see this in a lot of movies too, like Dante's Peak and even Jaws. You know, that they don't want to overreact and then be looked at like, oh, you're the fool who thought like that it was worse than it actually was, and you created a pandemic. You created a panic, sorry. They don't want that to happen. They don't want to lose money, because if they overreact for something that is not too bad, and they start evacuating people, it's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to create a lot of anger, and people are going to look for someone to blame.
In a way, sorry for cutting you up, in a way, I can understand that point. If nothing happened,
Yeah, but
the town could be could have an economic crash down.
let me finish.
But
That's what
it's way less worse
That's exactly
than
yeah.
massive debt.
I was about to continue with, unfortunately, every time they do that, the actual consequences of their lack of action are worse than what would have happened if they had reacted. It's just that the consequences change what the consequences are changed. Like, first scenario, if they overreact and it ends up being not as bad as they thought, they lose money, so the consequences are like this. If they don't react and stuff happens, then the consequences are of a human value. You know, people die, people suffer. It's not this. It's this. It's worse. In my opinion, it's worse. But for a businessman, sometimes this wins out. Well, actually, most of the time, this wins over the rest, because they don't want to acknowledge that it could happen. They don't want to acknowledge how bad this could be. And since they have no idea that this could happen, like they had no idea that a core could explode, they don't know the consequences that they're about to face, and it's going to be terrible.
When you work with radioactivity, you're supposed to know a bit about just a bit about it.
They know about it, but like I said before, like, human beings like to work with stuff they don't completely understand, and when bad things happen, they deny that these sort of things could ever happen, because I never imagined in my wildest dreams that this could happen. So obviously it must be untraining on. It's a lot of frustrations. It's a lot of the
I think we're just angry about what happened.
I think the show is doing a good job. Like, first episode did a very good job at making us feel uneasy and very frustrated at just the lack of action that was going on, because we know what's in store for these people. At least we have a vague idea. And to see them all, you know, touching parts of the core and stuff, and we're like, don't touch it, don't stand near it. They know, like, this show expects us to know what happened, or at least have a vague idea of what happened. So they're not even telling us what to feel. They're just showing us stuff that actually went on, and they're letting us go on a rampage with our emotions because we see the particles and we're like, you're breathing this in. We see the lack of equipment. We see the lack of protection, and we're like, oh my god. We see people tell others like, oh, go near the core and open the valves and stuff, and we're like, are you crazy? It's one thing, but we know
the children dancing,
yeah,
and the ashes.
But we know what's gonna happen. They did it, so a lot of these guys, like, we're frustrated at them, but a lot of these guys had no idea what they were in store for. The people we can actually blame are the experts, the people that denied the truth. They probably could not stop happening, and a lot of people would have died anyway. But there's so much stuff that could have gone better if they had, stopped denying the truth and pretending that nothing could go wrong and that they did no wrong. Which is why I actually like the guy he's probably dying in the valves, with the valves right now, but he was like, with his friend was saying like, oh, we did nothing wrong, there's no reason for you to feel bad. And he's like, but we did though, we did something wrong. Kind of true. When we say that when something happens to a ship, the captain is always responsible, well, it's the same here. Like, they were in charge of the core. So even though it's an accident, like, if it's an accident and no one did anything wrong, they were in charge. So unfortunately, it falls on their shoulders. Anyway, I think we're gonna see, like, the follow-up to that. Everyone that's gonna go, I think that's why I saw court photos and stuff. Like, we're gonna see the trial and see them try to blame it all on one person, because no one else wants to be blamed for this, and no one did anything wrong, obviously, but we need a scapegoat. We need someone to take the fall. So we'll see what happens next, how they handle this, and if we can shine some light to what actually happened. Yeah. It's so fucking sad. It's watching a show about a tragedy, man. What did we think? Like, what were we thinking about?
Doing.
We're gonna be frustrated the entire time we watch this, guys. I'm warning you.
That we will.
And we're gonna ramble on and on and on. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode with us. If you want to see the next one right away, it's on Patreon already. Check it out. The link is in the description.
So don't forget to subscribe if you want to watch it now, guys. And if not, wait for the next one to be out on YouTube, which will be soon.
Yes, about next week.
One per week. We're gonna see you then, guys.
Bye.